अब देश सुदर्शन चक्र मिशन लॉन्च करेगा। एक पावरफुल वेपन सिस्टम दुश्मन के हमले को न्यूट्रलाइज तो करेगा ही करेगा, लेकिन कई गुना ज्यादा दुश्मन पर हिट बैक करेगा।
Namaste and Jai Hind, friends. Welcome to another power-packed episode of Borders and Beyond. I'm your host, 𝐶𝐢𝐺 𝐶𝐢𝐵, and we are decoding today India's boldest step towards security and skies. If you would have remembered, our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, on 15th of August, categorically spoke about Sudarshan Chakra air defense system. So joining me today is someone who truly understands what it takes to protect the nation and threats that move faster than the sound. Air Marshal Ravi Kapoor, sir, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, 𝐶𝐢𝐺. It is always great to be back with you and discussing these very, very important issues that confront our nation.
Thank you, sir. So I'd like to start with a big one. So what is the vision behind Sudarshan Chakra system, and how does it differ from the Israel's Iron Dome and what we currently have?
So first, very quickly, few points. One is it's a very strategic decision. It's a very bold decision, very optimistic to say, to be able to kind of create a impregnable shield around the country against any threat which is using the medium of air or space. And so even a country like US, which has gone in for a something called Golden Dome, which is going to cost it initially $175 billion. And over the next 2 decades, almost $850 billion. It's a very optimistic project or a mission that the Prime Minister has announced. What is important is the timing is very, very important. The timing of this announcement, it comes immediately few months after Op Sindoor, where we faced multitude of threats from drones to the missiles to aircraft trying to breach our air defense system, to undertake attacks against our military bases. Then the Pakistan Prime Minister also announced creation of Pakistan Army Rocket Force Command on their Independence Day on 14th of August. And so I think that everything is falling in place. I would also say that we learned lessons from the Ukraine-Russia war and Israel-Iran conflict, in which Iran fired more than 500 to 700 missiles and thousands of drones at Israel. And so it brought to focus that this is the future warfare and we need a shield for India. It's a strong message to the world and a strong message to our community, that is the research and development community, academia, industry, both private and public, that in 10 years, the Prime Minister has called this a Mission Sudarshan Chakra. He's not called it Sudarshan Chakra or Project Sudarshan Chakra or Program Sudarshan Chakra. So it is as important as the Mission Shakti that we carried out, in which we did the ASAT trial in 2019. And so I think he sent a strong message, along with a belief and confidence in our research and development organizations, in our private industry, that we could do innovations, develop technologies, and put all of it together. But more importantly, there are a lot of things which are already available in this whole system. Counter-UAS is available, S-400 is available, certain amount of ballistic missile defense for our country is available. Now, how is it different from Iron Dome? Iron Dome primarily is a defensive system. That means it was going to pick up threats, detect threats, identify threats, track threats, and then destroy threats. It's a very specific system where it actually filters out missiles and drones which are not likely to hit population areas or strategic targets. And so that mechanism where it can conserve its interceptors is a very good mechanism. Second thing is, Iron Dome was the first of the defensive system. it was catering only for the rockets which were fired from Gaza or Lebanon, which are about 70 to 100 kilometers. Consequently, as Syria came into being, Yemen Houthis came into being, Iran come into picture, they have progressively included David Sling, which takes care of short-range missiles, then Arrow 2 and Arrow 3, which go on to up to about 2,400 to 2,500 kilometer classification of surface-to-surface missiles. So Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow 2 and Arrow 3, they combine together with a kind of sensor, the ground, air and space-based sensors to first detect a threat, any rocket, any drone, any missile which is coming, and even cruise missile, even aircraft. It does not have a counter-attack capability, which is what is the difference that the Prime Minister announced in his speech, that Mission Sudarshan Chakra would be a completely Indian system with innovative technologies, integrate all the technologies, develop and then integrate all technologies. And it will be able to do counter-attack on anybody who's trying to attack us. That means now, before I go on to what would be the conceptualization of this whole Mission Sudarshan Chakra, I would like to compare it closer to the Golden Dome, which US has announced. President Trump announced it immediately after he came to power this time in the second term. And that actually envisages a huge capability, which is multi-layered, multi-domain. That means it transcends surface, air, subsurface, space. So all domains, land, sea, air, space and cyber, everything will get integrated, and it will even have interceptors which are in space to take down ballistic missiles in space. So that is the kind, and it will also have the same counter-attack ability. That means if a missile is fired by any adversary against US, it could either take out that the place from where it is launched, that area, before the next one gets launched. It will be able to take it out proactively, whether by a surface-to-surface missile, by a cruise missile, by an aircraft launched weapon, or a drone, whichever way. They will decide whichever is the best method. And so similarly, Mission Sudarshan Chakra is a kind of a system which is a multi-domain system, which will be optimized to save, like the Prime Minister said, strategic installations, population centers, important civilian population centers, to an extent even certain religious areas. So I would say, like, Pakistan recently indirectly said that we will bomb the refinery in Jamnagar. Now, so that becomes a strategic target. So it must be protected. Now, it has to be protected against drones. It has to be protected against surface-to-surface missiles. It has to be protected against cruise missiles. So, so that is how Mission Sudarshan Chakra is something between Iron Dome and Golden Dome. I would say closer to Golden Dome, because as we go ahead, the future warfare is going to be long-range, non-contact, in which we will be encountered. China has already got hypersonic weapons. So tomorrow we should be able to save our installations from these hypersonic missiles which are going to come to us. And so this system will be a comprehensive system to identify threats and then develop and produce solutions which will take care of across the spectrum of threats. So what are the kind of threats? The kind of threats are drones, which are small, medium, large drones, cruise missiles, which are going to come at low level, supersonic missiles, then you will have ballistic missiles, then you will have quasi-ballistic missiles, and finally aircraft and hypersonic weapons. So this is the kind of threats it will have. And I can tell you that since if we just compare US, we are not like small country like Israel. We are a large country. And so I do not think that we will be able to have same kind of protection mechanisms and protection systems across the entire country. So probably Mumbai and Delhi will have ballistic missile defense, then missile defense against smaller missiles, defense against cruise missiles, defense against surface-to-air missiles for aircraft, and even counter UAS systems, both soft kill and hard kill. And it will have a huge component of directed energy weapon systems to take care of swarms that we are talking about. Similarly, a small air base may not have the entire BMD, but it will have adequate system. A kind of umbrella would be provided by either S-400 or a Kusha system, which is under development, and then a short-range surface-to-air missile, a medium-range surface-to-air missile, and the counter-UAS systems. A very simple population area where only drones we expect, only counter-UAS systems would have to take place. And this some of the system will provide an umbrella of a larger umbrella that is like a S-400. It will provide a fairly large umbrella to a group of targets.
Sir, my question to you is that under the recent Operation Rising Lion, Iran sent quite a lot of, there was a lot of attack from Iran, and obviously Iron Dome and all these other defense systems, they were able to save about 90% odd. But there was a significant damage that happened in Israel. So currently, is India also as vulnerable as Israel? Because we also have to keep in mind that we do not have bunkers. So if there is a similar scenario where a swarm drone attack or something like missiles, 100 missiles, 200 missiles are fired at us within minutes. So currently, are we vulnerable? That would be my question number one. And my question number two would be, will Sudarshan Chakra be able to handle them?
See, whatever be the system, no system can give us a foolproof or 100% safety against incoming, one odd missile, yes, 100% safety. But when you have different types of missiles of different caliber, just to give an example, a missile which is about 300 kilometers to 400 kilometers range would travel at a much lower velocity. It's about 2.2 kilometers to 2.5 kilometers per second. But if you are talking about a missile which is, say, 3,000 kilometers, it will travel at almost 5 to 7 kilometers per second. And so your systems have to be optimized to handle a variety of threats. And in that case also, it is, some of it will go through. And if there is a barrage which is coming. So that is exactly what happened during Operation Rising Lion, in which, if you remember, Iran initially fired very, very rudimentary or basic surface-to-surface missiles, and as the war progressed, they increased the complexity of missiles. And this is exactly what is happening. And this is exactly, if you have read the recent news of Patriots against the Russian surface-to-surface missiles, it's the same thing, that some of the missiles Patriot is unable to engage. And so it is a cat and mouse game. Some of it will be engaged, but certain will get through. Now, what gets through would depend on what is the kind of target being attacked. If it's a very dense population center like Delhi, there will be a lot of casualties. There is no doubt about it. But if we have certain protection mechanism, because once we have the Mission Sudarshan Chakra, which should also have a very, I suppose it should have a very, very comprehensive space-based sensor system. We would have certain amount of warning of impending missile strike. And in that warning, whatever people can, in a place like Delhi, if you are closer to an underground metro station, just run into an underground metro station. You are still way better off than you would be in open. And so the government of the day would have to devise and evolve processes, procedures as we go along to factor all of these. But to say that there will be no damage and Sudarshan Chakra will be able to handle 100% of incoming threats of different types and different caliber would be a very optimistic expectation from a system.
So even after Sudarshan Chakra, we really are not 100% safe. I think that's the most important point. So coming back, our politics and diplomacy should be our number one thing. Try to avoid attack happening at any cost. What I'd like to understand from you, will this be also in a position to react against hypersonic missiles?
Ideally, yes. If we are finding a solution and we are going ahead in the next 10 years, by next 10 years, you will find that the technology will get very, very mature for counter hypersonic detection and engagement. And so, unlike our aircraft development, where we are one generation behind the whole world, I think this gives an opportunity to us to be with the entire world in terms of technologies to take care of the threats that we envisage. And I think hypersonic is not a futuristic threat; it is a present threat. And so, over the next 2 years to 3 years, we should be able to. But the most important part is that I think we have to focus on the space-based sensor layer. If we get that right, I think we will have a better chance against hypersonic weapons. I think Kusha also, to some extent, as we go along, the Kusha phase 2 should be able to, like a S-500, which is claimed to have certain hypersonic, counter-hypersonic capability, should be able to do that. So hypersonic has to be catered for in this entire innovation.
Sir, two things. I think at this point of time, we have not allocated any funds for Sudarshan Chakra. So whereas the Golden Dome, there is, I think, close to 250 to about $800 billion spent, which is going to be spent. So we do not have an actual financial knowledge. And also, do you think 2035 is a right time frame, or 2035 is actually going to be not 2035 but 2047? So what do you think? What will be the actual scenario?
See, all these systems take a lot of time to be brought together, to be integrated, and the biggest issue will be of integration and software development, because it will have to be kind of a very automated system with humans just about supervising the system and not actually running the system. So it has to be an AI enabled concept of countering the threats across a wide spectrum. That means we'll have to bring together all the sensors from the Army, Navy, Air Force, certain civilians, all the airborne sensors like the 𝐈𝐧𝐝𝐢𝐚'𝐬, the AWNC, and the other sensors of the other organizations which are there, even aerostats. And lastly, whatever satellites are in space which are giving us optical imagery, or a synthetic aperture radar imagery, or hyperspectral imagery, all these future technologies with very high resolution and artificial intelligence enabled at the satellite itself, not on ground where there is analysis, will only make this system work. As far as the budget is concerned, like I said, it is very optimistic because in same 2035 time frame, we have loaded DRDO and industry with lot of expectation. LCA Mark II is supposed to come in 2030 time frame. Full production should be on. Then we are looking at DRDO developing cutting edge technologies like longer range missiles, developing BrahMos NG, developing Astra 2 and Astra 3. 𝐈𝐧𝐝𝐢𝐚'𝐬 is supposed to come in 2035.
And this also be made by DRDO. ये भी DRDO बनाएगा. Will this also be made by DRDO?
Finally, lot of technologies are already present. Now, when all the technologies are present, you cannot go to a separate system to develop something which is separate. So, it will be a kind of a joint approach where certain components, like let us say D4 counter-UAS system is made by, developed by DRDO. But now DRDO, once it is developed, for productionizing it is giving to some industry. So that industry will produce. Similarly, BEL has got a counter-UAS system. Similarly, certain private industry have got counter-UAS systems that they have made. Zen Technologies have made counter-UAS system. So there are all these people who will finally have to be integrated into a same single network. So that, I think, networking would be done jointly between DRDO as well as these industries. And the Air Force will get obviously very much involved to ensure that it gets integrated with the ISCCS and all. So this will be bigger than the ISCCS, way bigger than ISCCS. So budget will have to be given, but I think it will be a building block approach where things would be set in as they keep coming up with an open architecture system where plug and play would be there. That means everybody would be. So if we have to succeed in this, first is a blueprint should be prepared with what we already have and what we desire. Thereafter, what is the kind of network that is required? So what are the components? What would be the space component? What would be the ground component? What would be the airborne component? What would be the cyber effect of this? And what kind of cyber security issues have to be brought in? So all these, what do we presently have? So all these will have to be then put on that board. And once everything is there, thereafter we'll have a good idea of how much will it cost. But for starting research and development and work, the government will have to allocate certain amount of budget. And a separate team will have to be built. It has to be an interagency team, which is from the Air Force, Army, Navy, DRDO, some academia, probably IITs or IISc, and private industry. So that everybody comes together, and it will have to be under a very strong oversight with huge amount of accountability. I mean, the accountability must be fixed, and if things don't turn out, the heads must roll. If that does not happen, then we will remain in the same situation as we have been.
Sir, and what do you think will be the biggest challenge? For example, technology, infrastructure, funding, and coordination. Or if someone was to ask me, unless this project is directly handled by the PMO, no way we are meeting the 2035 deadline. We'll be happy if it gets over by 2050. If PMO gets involved, तब तो फिर भी हो जाएगा. What do you say, sir?
That's what I said. See, accountability has to be fixed. Teams have to be made. Oversight mechanism has to be an independent oversight mechanism, which should have certain experts who know the technology, who understand technology, and who understand the war fighting or the operational part. If just the technology or the operational part will not be able to bridge the gap that will exist. And so both will have to get involved. And so it will have to be a multi-agency task force with an oversight which is completely independent, but is professional. Otherwise, meeting the time and I think in certain ways technologies are available. The biggest challenge I think would be whether we get the kind of semiconductors and the chips that we would want for the kind of networks that we would want. That is one presently a bigger issue. And my second challenge would be budget, primarily because I'm talking about a very, very robust space-based layer. See, ground radars are already there. The army radars are already there. The naval radars are already there. We already have the AWACS, we have the AEW&C. And so they are already integrated to a large extent. So that is not a problem at this point in time. The problem would be, what would be the warning that I'm going to get? And how I'm going to do the automation for this system to run in an automated manner. So a command and control, an ops room, which is integrated with everybody else. And that is where the challenge would lie, to get the nuts and bolts together and finally get it working. And that is that risk is something that needs to be factored in at the very beginning when the blueprint is being. So if we adopt a building block approach, I think we will be able to get there. If not 100% by 2035, but if we are able to secure major areas of our nation, it would be a big achievement. And like you said, diplomacy can delay war. But when it has to come, we will have to do Op Sindoor. When it has to come, we'll have to do Eastern Ladakh.
And so we're fighting with a country which needs a reason. They don't have aspirations like what we have in India, that my child I'm going to sacrifice ABC so that my child can become that. They don't have such aspirations. So there is war which is going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't, but unfortunately we are living with such neighbor. So my final question to you would be, so what have we learned from the Israel's Iron Dome, especially after the recent Gaza conflicts? Yes, it is a game changer, but what about the cost attached to it? We do not want to destroy $100 million attack with $1 million counter measure. What do you think have been the learning, sir?
It is again the same thing that when we do Mission Sudarshan Chakra, we should be able to optimize. And I think Operation Sindoor demonstrated that how we have been able to integrate and optimize. So obviously you do not want to fire a S-400 missile against a small drone, right? But at the same time, let us not put cost to a life. If it is required, so be it. But in a system that is being developed, it must have all components which take care of it. So if there is one component that is not taken care of, then you will end up being inefficient. That means you will have to fire a $1 million missile against a $2,000 drone. So if the components and how we structure it, how we phase it are correct, then there should not be a problem. Every war, every conflict throws up a lot of lessons. There are a lot of lessons everybody learns. It is not that rising lion is the end of conflict. Like people say, drones are the future. But in what way are drones future? Does it mean that era of surface-to-surface missiles, cruise missiles, aircraft, artillery, rockets, everything is gone? No, it is not. Drones will be successful only if the tactical commander knows how to utilize them and create that surprise and the effect that is desired. But if you just let go certain drones like Pakistan did, everything will get intercepted. So are we working on luck, or are we working on a particular operational plan where we say, okay, success rate has to be established? And similarly, Rising Lion showed that certain number of rockets or missiles will come. And what is happening in Russia-Ukraine war also, the Americans and Israelis are learning. And so the Patriot system or the David Sling or Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 would further get refined and would further get improved. And so far as you have, there is no system which has a 100% success rate. So you always make a system, and that is why I see to intercept one missile, you can fire 4 missiles and you will have 100%, close to 100% success rate. But you do not want to do that, because in the first 3 days of the war, you don't want to finish all your missiles because finally they cost. And so you will have to accept certain numbers of missile going through, but you should have a certain process where you minimize the damage. And the damage in war should not be operational damage. That means your war-fighting capability should not get destroyed. Some other destruction will take place, so be it. War fighting is not no destruction. War fighting is, wars will cause destruction, will cause damage, and so that has to be factored. But I think Israel has learnt a lot of lessons. It will certainly go on to improve its systems. It will certainly go on to that, and that is what we should learn for Mission Sudarshan Chakra. That how should we be able to be very, very confident that we are taking out a drone by a counter-UAS system, or we are taking out a bigger drone by a surface-to-air missile which is optimized for it, or we are developing the directed energy weapons which will be much more cost-effective, that we are ready for swarms of drones which will come in future rather than the 5-7 drones which came during Op Sindoor. So Mission Sudarshan Chakra must factor all these. And so when we do that, we will find that, and why is Israel, why has Israel invested so much into directed energy weapons and electronic warfare? It is because of this. Because finally the missiles also will have GPS guidance. And so if you have good electronic warfare, if you have good directed energy weapons, you will not need so many missiles to be fired. Because the directed energy, whether it is high power, microwave or laser, both will take care of many more missiles with very few bullets fired or very few missiles fired. And so these are the things that we must, I think, invest in development. DRDO has developed a 30 kilowatt laser, but I think 30 kilowatt laser will just get you 1.5 kilometers. You can't shoot down a missile 1.5 kilometers. You will have to go at least 30, 40, 50 kilometers. And so it will have to be a much powerful laser than what we have done. But we have made a beginning.
Operations?
No, it was tested. It has not been operationalized into any weapon system as yet.
Okay. So on that note, thank you so much for giving us the front row view into India's future defense strategy. And as the world becomes more volatile, India is just reacting and it's preparing to dominate the skies. And this is the cost of us growing. We are just about $4 trillion. It's not enough. We should be consistently working together to make sure we reach at least 10. The moment we become $10 trillion, then it's a battle of equals. Once again, sir, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you, Chitresh. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir.